Hello malt mates, welcome to the Whisky Bothy, where I'm Ralphie and I review whisky. And I'm going to review a Scotch single malt whisky for you here in review number 1125. And it's Tom & Toole 14-year-old, bottled at 46%, and they claim unchill filtered. Wonderful. Not chill filtered. I would also suggest that is, if you're looking for a natural colour, that's really what you're looking at. But not only does that look relatively natural, it looks like there has been proper, restrained, sympathetic maturation. It's something one picks up with experience of spending a lot of time over many decades staring at whisky. Sure, all whisky is some shade of amber, but it's rather like being an artist looking at a painting. The more you do it, the more you see. Do you know what I mean? This isn't a malt that I tend to connect with very often. I have reviewed this three times before, and over the 16 years there's been a total of 4 reviews of Tom & Toole. Funnily enough, 3 out of the 4 have been the 14-year-old at 46% unchill filtered, and there's a reason for that. The style of Tom & Toole is gentle, restrained, completely unpeated, it's soft, it's fresh fruity, and it's got a little bit of aromatics to it, understated and quiet is a good way of putting it. There's also, in my opinion, a lovely little bit of nut. And talking almond, I'm talking about these Italian biscuits that you have with coffee. These little macaroon biscuits, amarettos they're called. There's a little bit of an amaretto note to this. If you're looking at Tom & Toole, you'll see there is plenty of choice in the range. They do a lot of finishes, and they're not expensive. As single malt whisky brands go, Tom & Toole are generally fairly priced, accessible, affordable, and that's why I'm reviewing this, because I've got to balance things off in this channel. I can't just review what I want to all the time, because that would basically be looking at single cask and small batch independent bottlings, because frankly that's where the real magic is generally, although there are some distilleries that are actually committed to authentically presenting their whisky to the market at a minimum of 46%, guaranteed unchill filtered and natural colour. But that's not every customer, and this is something we've got to bear in mind. So this is one of these halfway house whiskies. I'm reviewing it for you because I like it. But I'm also aware that if you're just getting into whisky, you're not going to be wrapping your lips around another cask strength Laphroaig or some of these big heavy hitter whiskies out there, which you need to take your time and be in no hurry to meet. As and when your palate's ready, you'll get there. There is no rush. As always, when you're coming to a decent whisky, never ever rush it. Never shake the glass violently, plop in the ice cubes or the whisky stones. I've never used whisky. I tried whisky stones once just for the novelty of it. The novelty soon wore off. This is a very nicely understated fresh fruit nose. Already, when you're nosing this whisky, you can see why it's popular in blended Scotch whisky. This is very, very compatible style of single malt that goes with column distilled grain whisky coming from these big industrial units that most whisky fans would never dream of visiting because they don't have shiny copper stills. But there's so much to learn from these operations. It's like visiting a cooperage. When you see a cask being assembled, it just gives you so much insight and useful knowledge. The fresh fruit is zesty. It's not citrus, it's heading towards citrus. I'm actually getting tangerine, fresh apple, fresh melon, mild tangerine note. It's slightly sherbety. There's a lemon souffle note in there as well. First taste, delicious, simple, nicely balanced actually. When you're sipping it neat, there's that delightful integrated bitterness with the sourness that actually gives you a lovely balanced sensation range, which is the sweet, sour, salt, bitter and savoury. If I'm going to add water, where's my water? Here it is. I'm going to add very little. Unusually little for a Ralphie.com review. There it is. See that? I hope you didn't blink or you'd have missed it. I've only put about 2 millilitres of water in there, which for me is remarkably restrained. Now there's a reason I'm doing that. I've spent time with this. I have to say I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and I also want to add that I've been experimenting with this, and I'll share that in my next review, number 1125 extras. So stick around for that one. Let's get back to this. I've added literally a few drops of water, and already when I put my nose back into the glass, it's starting to change shape. It's becoming a little sweeter and more round. The drama is in what is restrained and suggested. The event of this whisky is in its softness. It's, I have to say, very well made fruitiness. This is an absolute quintessential gentle dram. I would compare it to a more resinous Glenfiddich 12-year-old. Glenfiddich 12-year-old is a very well consistently made whisky. When you buy a bottle, it's very reminiscent of the previous one you bought. The same with Tom and Toole. I must commend them for the consistency of their bottling over the years. I mean, when I noted down the reviews that I've previously, the actual review numbers. There was 372, 681, 917, and then this 1125. Now that tells you that this has been fairly evenly spaced out, that I come back every 2 or 3 years and get a bottle of Tom and Toole, and I'm glad I've bought it, and I'm inclined to buy another one, but not too soon. That's the territory, the space that Tom and Toole occupies. The 40% ones are for travel retail. They do a number of 46% bottlings, and I highly recommend you focus on them, because the 40%ers are just too weak. You need the 46%. You need the lack of chill filtration to actually deliver the character which is hiding away in this malt. And there's something else I want to add. When I've experimented adding water and putting it in the fridge, the fridge test, it hasn't really clouded up much. So I strongly suspect, like many other big brands, when they say non-chill filtered, what they really, really mean, although they will not admit it, is that they have put the whisky through an industrial filtration machine with the chill button switched off. Now that means when you're bottling in Scotland for half the year that you don't need the chill button anyway, because the ambient temperature's that cold. So I think that when we're saying non-chill filtered, there's real non-chill filtered that we get from small distilleries and independent bottlers, and then there's pretend not chill filtered that we get from the big producers. And they're not lying when they say that they don't chill filter, they're just being economical with the truth. And it's business. And it's something that over time, if we care about whisky, we really need to get our bearings with and we need to get to know. It's important. Because we know, particularly after just relatively few independent bottlings, we know for sure just how important the authenticity of the experience relates to whether it has been excessively filtered or just marginally filtered. As far as I'm concerned, when you're draining out a cask prior to bottling, all you need are 3 sieves. The coarse sieve, the medium sieve and the fine sieve. That's all you need. And if there's little bits in the whisky, good. It's cask. It's residual maturation. Let's get back to this now. I've given it a few minutes with a drop of water. Floral, a little bit of spice appearing, a little bit of brulee vanilla is starting to appear in the background. Now what's happening here is, having added a bit of water, the casks are having their say, and I must compliment Tom and Toole in the consistency of the quality of the casks they're using, because if it wasn't there, I would certainly notice, and if I did notice, I would certainly be sure to tell you, malt mates. It's the way it goes when you're an independent channel buying what you review. It gives you license to give your own opinion. Now the magic's happening. This is where Tom and Toole starts to get closer and closer to Isle of Arran. Except this is more floral and aromatic compared to Isle of Arran. This is a delicious whisky. I particularly enjoy the nice, dry, astringent aftertaste, where it's almost as if that nuttiness. You remember the amarettos that I mentioned at the beginning of the review? Bitter almond. You'll find it in apple seeds. Don't be afraid to eat them, but don't eat too many, because it's a source of ambient... It's not an ambient source. It's a source of cyanide. But do you know the poison's in the dose? Cyanide tastes of bitter almonds. And you'll taste it in apricot pips and apple seeds. But there's so little there, particularly in apple seeds. With apricot pips, be careful how much you take. But there is a link between very small ambient doses or medicinal doses of natural toxins and a rigorous improvement in your general well-being. So just be aware of that. I mean, I'm not making any claims, and I know that any off-script opinions these days are fraught with danger, malt mates. You know that yourself. We have to self-censor like has never happened in human history. Because it's not that people are watching, it's the mechanism is watching. Skynet is watching us now. And this is real. So we deal with it. And this is why I'm coming straight back to whiskey. And I'm really enjoying this. When I come back to it, I'm surprised. And I'm thinking, actually, I am really enjoying this. Do you know, I'm highly tempted to go buy another bottle of Tom and Toole. Maybe a PX version or something, or Madeira matured, before the year's out. There's so much variety and choice with Scotch whisky that you can forget about a brand for a while and then rediscover it a few years later and say, actually, one of the things that, because with the changing time, that I really enjoy about Tom and Toole is its complete lack of absurdity and pretension that we find with brands such as Ardbeg and Macallan, which are really damaging themselves in the fact that their alienation strategy is kind of spreading like a net, and affecting not just whisky informed, but even whisky curious people now. They go online, they do their research, and they discover these cliches on big brands, and they say, no, I want authenticity. Where's the authenticity here? It is, if Tom and Toole did small batch, cask strength, authentic bottlings at a fair price, they'd fly. I'm sure of it. Let's tie things up with this now. The flavour. Deliciously clear and illustrative barley grain substance of biscuity. The mildest of ginger, fresh ginger, that little zest, particularly in the development going into the finish. That slight bitter almond note accompanying the ginger all the way. A little bit of nutmeg in there, a little bit of apricot stone, that bitterness is complex. It seems quiet. You've got to go searching for it, but see, when you go searching for it, you will find it. Just take your time, malt mates. It's a delightful, simple single malt, which is less simple than we think it is. There's pear notes, apple notes. There's a little bit of mango note in the background. You're almost getting tropical fruits, but they remain distant. The casks come in. It's gentle vanillaed oak, good quality oak, good quality engagement. I've got to hand it to Tom and Toole. Job done, and job done well. And I suspect that in a time when people have to manage their whisky budget much more carefully, that this will be an overlooked and underrated brand of whisky which gets rediscovered because it's just refreshingly honest, relatively. The chill filtration is not pure chill filtration. What am I going to give this? I'm going to give this a very well earned 83 out of 100. I'm going to recommend it to you. If you're a malt curious person, I'm going to recommend this, and the reason will become very transparent in my next review, number 1125. So if you care about whisky and if you care about malt moments, join me. See you there. Bye bye.